Alright, so again, this is how you symbolize mathematically to plug something in. Okay, it's f of whatever you want plugged in, and that means to plug it in for x. So if I found out that this value was 2, and this function, wherever x is, I'm going to plug in a 2. If I found out this value was negative 1, in this function, wherever x is, I'm going to plug in a negative 1. And whatever I get is my y value. Got it? All right, miscellaneous. First thing we're going to write in miscellaneous is our y-intercept. Okay, our y-intercept is found by doing what, Trevor?
Huh?
What was our y-intercept found by doing?
You're going to find what x equals 0.
No. Yeah, but what was it? Remember you came to the board, you got all excited?
C.
So what value?
Y equals mx plus b, c, yeah.
Okay. He doesn't even know what he circled.
Y equals a.
Okay?
Yeah.
So your y-intercept is simply whatever c is. Y-intercept is x equals 0 and whatever c is. Okay? Your x-intercept, when in this form, you have a variety of options to solve by. You can solve by graphing. You can solve by factoring. Or you can solve by the quadratic formula. Okay? When you solve by these two methods, you just have to keep in mind that when you do factoring and quadratic formula, it's the opposite of the number. So if I get x minus 2, my value is actually
X plus 2.
2. You want to know what would make that 0? Quadratic formula? It says formula.
Yeah, and
Graphing, factoring, quadratic formula.
no, what should be the opposite again?
Oh, factoring and quadratic formula. Huh? The example was if I had x minus 2 from my factory, that means that my answer would have to be x equals 2. So my intercept would be at 2, 0. All right, next we're going to graph. Just draw a graph of a quadratic. So I'm going to draw my y-axis, draw in my x-axis, and I'm going to draw my quadratic. From any quadratic, you should be able to identify an x-intercept.
Oh, that's scaring me.
You should be able to identify an x-intercept. You should be able to identify your vertex. And you should be able to identify your axis of symmetry. Okay? You should always be able to identify all of those aspects. All right. Any questions about standard form? Are we pretty comfortable?
Is the dotted line the axis of symmetry?
Yes. You may see axis of symmetry as a axis of symmetry, AOS. All right, here we go. Vertex form. Vertex form, if we remember correctly, is written as what?
Vertex form?
X.
It's with your H and your K. So it will be A times X minus H squared plus K.
This is the form I like.
That's a lot.
The vertex form?
I don't like it.
It don't matter to me.
I like y equals mx plus b.
It's so simple.
Too bad that was a line.
Huh? It's a lie.
A line.
Mine.
All right, from this form, how do I find my axis of symmetry?
X equals H.
X equals H. Key thing to remember is that H is what?
H is the
Vertex? No.
It's opposite of the operation, right?
Oh my god.
What you mean is opposite?
So if it says like x plus 7, then it would be negative 7.
Mm-hmm. So here, so like Nick said, if it said x plus 7, that means instead of being a plus 7, it's actually a negative 7.
So it said x minus 7.
If it said x minus 7, instead of being a minus 7, it's a plus 7.
Sure.
No, vice versa. All right, so you have to keep that in mind, that h is opposite of the operation. I'll finish out in the function. Okay? The vertex, again, is your what, though? What's your vertex? I heard someone. Thank you, Esther. It's your h and your k. You need to remember the same rule applies here for h.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, our miscellaneous is that our y-intercept. Does anyone remember how to find the y-intercept in this case?
Let me look on my notes.
It's when you plug x equals 0 into the equation to find y.
Exactly. You have to substitute 0 into the equation. Remember again that when you put f of something, that means it's a plug-in for x, right? So here, in order to find my y-intercept, I will plug 0 in for x. So wherever x is here, I will plug in a 0. And whatever I get out, that's what my y-intercept out is.
We got a new form coming up?
Yes, it's an introduction form. X-intercept. The best way here is if you have it, you should graph. You're going to do graphing. And if you're using the Inspire, it would be menu 6 1. If you're Trevor, it's second trace 1.
What if we not? What if we don't have?
If you don't have a calculator, then the best way for you to do this would be to actually distribute, combine like terms, and then factor, or use quadratic. All right, so now we're going to draw the graph. This time I want you to draw a negative parabola. What does a negative parabola look like?
Upside down.
It's a sad parabola. It had a negative day.
Its life sucks.
So if I'm going to draw my sad parabola, okay, so there's my sad parabola. I still should be able to identify its x-intercept, its y-intercept, and they're different, the vertex, and its axis of symmetry. The other thing to note here is that the way you get an upside down sad parabola is that your A is negative. Okay? And A is the only variable in each function, right? In each function, do they not both have an A?
Yeah, yes.
So the only way for your function to be a sad parabola is if A is negative. If A is positive, then it's going to stay as is. But when A is negative, get a sad parabola.
Is it a review over like transformations, or is this what we're doing?
This is what we're doing. We're just being more detailed with quadratics. Here? The intercept form is an introduction to what we call Connex. Connex, if you're in pre-cal next year, hopefully, we will get further into. So Connex, even if you do pre-cal or college algebra at MCC or whatever you choose to do, you're still going to have to do.
Which one do you recommend to take first?
I'd say take pre-cal first, and then your senior year do the dual credit.
Yeah, that's fine.
What if I'm a senior next year?
I say that you take college algebra and trig during the summer,
I ain't doing that.
and take pre-cal and calculus your senior year. Because the reason being is that most schools besides MCC do not accept college algebra and trigonometry as transfer grades. So you would be taking the class to better your math skills, to better your test scores, but when you transfer to your colleges, those grades won't go with you. They won't go with you. it betters your math skills and betters your SAT and ACT scores. And when you go to those colleges, you should do better on the placement exams for your math class. But that grade doesn't transfer. You get what I'm saying?
No.
But if you're looking for college credit, I would say take those two during the summer and take one in summer 1 and one in summer 2.
Some of them.
You would take one in June and take one in July.
Two different.
So you can finish a class in 2 months?
And 1 month in college.
For real?
And if you finish
Turn up.
You just get the credit.
Dang, I'm
My T got 83, turn up.
but how do you do that if, so you like go ahead of everybody else?
I got you.
You just go to MCC and sign up for the class.
You want to talk again?
That's what actually Cooper did.
That is-
We got TSC.
You were lame.
All right, intercept form. So intercept form is our introduction to Connex. It's f of x still. Now it equals a times x minus p times x minus q.
We get P and Q from P's and Q's.
All right. So what you have here is it could be x plus p, x minus. It could be plus or minus, either one. But this is the standard form of it. Okay. So this is the function, the form.
Looks like difference of squares.
Huh?
It looks like difference of squares.
Kind of. But your values are different. Okay? So what you gather from here is that your x equals your p plus your q divided by 2. What you have to note is that p and q are opposite of the operation.
What do you mean?
Just like h here, you remember how h is the opposite of the operation in the problem?
Yeah.
P and q are the same. So if it says minus p, that means it's actually a
So really,
positive p.
oh, okay. So if it's like -2 and -4, it's really just gonna be 2 plus 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay? So you just have to keep that in mind. And then the vertex form, this rule still applies. And your vertex form is p plus q divided by 2 is going to give you your x value. And then to find the y value, you have to substitute that into the function. So you would substitute that into the function for x. Okay? To find your y-intercept, it's the same thing as the one above. It would be 0, and you would substitute f of 0 into the function.
Coach Brady brought that to you. I don't know what it is.
Got it.
Was he supposed to? To make Russell confused.
Yes.
Coach Petty?
Yeah.
Okay? And then
The X.
x-intercept.
What do you do?
X-intercept is just simply your p and your q.
So it kind of is like the X when you factor.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Jones, why is the Q not in the other? Oh, never mind.
I forgot a q.
So
No, I was
P and
gonna
Q
say-
are going to be the X.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Because
what I was asking.
so if p and q are the same number, then your x-intercepts are going to be the, which means that essentially there's only one. Because no number repeats on a number line. It's there one time. All right, and then just draw a graph. If you could choose either graph or just draw a new graph. So I'm going to be lazy.
Just do a little thing like this.
I'm just going to be lazy. I mean, you can draw any graph. You're just illustrating what the values are.
No.
All right, now you happy scissor people, you can now cut it out. Okay, I will try to. The reason why it's an equation is because I have an equal. I I'm equaling to 0. So that makes me a equation. If I equal something, that means I am a equation.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
You hear the equal and the equal, equation, equal.
Yeah.
Okay?
Makes perfect sense.
Good. So because of that,
Turn up.
notice that I can't sit on the other side of the room. So when we are dealing with doing equations with x's about no y,
I just said make it clean.
then the answers are called solutions or roots. When we're dealing with equations, the problem will ask you for a solution. It'll ask you for a root. That's what they would be called. However, it's the same thing as saying find the zeros. But to be mathematically correct, it asks you to find the solution. The reason why is because the most time you use an equation is when you're dealing with a real world problem. Okay? And in the real world, you don't find zeros to problems, you find solutions to problems. Okay? Got it?
Yeah.
Alright, moving on down. Next is a function. A function will start off with f of x. If it says f of x equals, that makes it a function.
F for function.
F for function. If it says f of x, that makes it a function. Okay? Your function is going to typically mean that you're going to graph this. Or create a graph. And when you create a graph, you're going to have to use your x coordinates, which are now called zeros or x-intercept. So when we're looking at a graph, aka a function, we are talking about identifying the zeros and identifying the x-intercepts. I know, I do it all the time.
It doesn't have OES?
No.
Man.
Earlier I accidentally spelled like Oreos with a Z. It was an accident.
I got some Oreos.
Alright. Any questions?
Yeah.
We're good so far? Yes, Brittany. The difference between a function and an equation. Alright. An equation is going to equal a value, a numerical value. Okay? Whereas a function can have a variety of values that it equals. That's why it just says f of x equals. Okay? However, an equation is going to equal a definite numerical value. Got it?
We have 30 seconds.
We have 30 seconds.
Let's see if I can make them.
Are you lying?
Three.
One.
Here goes.
Well, I guess we will pick up on our notes tomorrow.
No homework.
No, we do not have homework because we didn't finish the notes.
Turn up.
That means our quiz is probably going to be at the end of class instead of the beginning of class.
Thursday and Friday.
You got 83.
Well, I won't be here actually.
All right.
I'll leave after lunch. But Friday won't be.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.